Hello, and welcome back to Math Explained. We're still on fractions, but now we're in part 2. So the last one, so in part 1, we talked about what fractions are, and we talked about how to add them in terms of pizza slices, that sort of thing. But now we're going to go on to actually adding, multiplying, and dividing. So I'm going to do adding first. It takes probably the longest. Multiplying is the easiest, and then division, you'll see. Okay, adding and subtracting. So let's say you have a fraction like 1 over 3 plus 1 over 7. Oh, no, let's do 1 over 5. Oh, 2 over 5. Let's get, okay, we get all complicated. There we go, 2 over 5. Okay, so I want to add those up, but just like the pizza thing, so when we had a pizza, we said, okay, well, this pizza had 3 slices. This one had, oh, goodness, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll pretend those are even pieces. But anyway, we said that, okay, well, if we have this slice is not the same size as this slice, so we can't just add them up just like 1 plus 2 and 3 plus 5. Like, that doesn't work. So what we need to do before we can do anything is we need a common denominator. Also, because we don't want to keep having to draw pizzas. Okay, so back in grade school, they usually tell you to take each of the denominators because we want something that's the same for both of them, like a common denominator. Usually they'll call it the lowest common denominator, right? We want something that this goes into and this goes into. So the way we did it in school is they said, okay, well, take your 3 and list out all its multiples. So 3 times 1 is 3, basically your times tables, right? 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, 12, 15, 18. And then you do the same thing with 5. Well, so 5 times 1 is 5, times 2 is 10, times 3 is 15. Well, we already see that they both have 15 in common. Also, you notice that 3 times 5 is 15, so you actually don't really have to list these out, but we'll go through that in a minute. So, okay, so we're going to use 15 then. So our lowest common denominator is 15. That stands for lowest common denominator or least common denominator. Okay, so it's 15. So the next thing I want to do, let me get rid of this so it's out of the way. There we go. Is I want to convert these to that, right? Like, I don't want it to still be 1 over 3. I want it to be something over 15. So what I do, just looking at the 3, is I'm going to go, okay, well, I need to know what do I multiply that by to get 15. So I go, okay, well, 15 divided by 3 is 5. So I need to multiply by 5. But there's a problem, because normally if you had an equation, so like 3x, or just x, let's do this, x equals 5, and you wanted to multiply by something, you could go, okay, well, I'm going to multiply on this side by 3, and then because there's an equals, you have to multiply that side by 3, right? But in this case, we don't have an equals sign. And so we can't just come along and multiply by 5 because we're changing our fraction completely. So what we do instead is we multiply top and bottom by 5. Because if you recall, 5 divided by 5 is just 1, right? 5 divided by 5 equals 1. So this right here, we're really just, that equals 1. We're not changing the fraction at all. So the 1 over 3 is still 1 over 3. And if we multiply it by 1, it's still 1 over 3. But we're multiplying it by 5 over 5. So what we're doing is we're just taking this 1 over 3, the value is still the same, but we're making it look different. So now I'm going to pull this over here. So that gives us, so 5 times 1 is 5, 3 times 5 is 15. Okay, so that goes there. Da-da-da. Probably should have been a football coach because this looks a little like a play thingy. Okay. Except I don't even know what it's called, playbook, whatever. Okay, so then I do the same thing with this one. So I have a 5 in the bottom, I want it to be a 15. So then I have to decide what I need to multiply it by. So 15 divided by 5 gives me 3. So I want to multiply it by a 3. But again, I can't just multiply the bottom by 3. I have to multiply the top too, because otherwise I'm changing the entire fraction. But really I don't want to change it, I just want to make it look different. So okay, so 2 times 3 is 6. 5 times 3 is 15. So now I have this. I have 5 over 15 plus 6 over 15. Well, once you have a common denominator, all you have to do is you add the tops. So this is 5 plus 6 and the denominator stays 15. So these don't add, right? These are just, that stays the same. It's just the top parts that add. So this is 5 plus 6 gives me 11, so this is 11 over 15. Da-da-da! Hooray, I added fractions. Okay, so the next one, so that one, so notice we did this whole little thing right here where we did the multiples. You don't necessarily have to do that. So let's say you have 3 over 7 plus 1 over 4. Well, I could list these multiples, but really, probably what's going to happen is my smallest common denominator is going to be when they multiply by each other anyway. So 7 times 4 equals 28. So maybe I want my common denominator to just be 28, because I know I can do that. So what I'm going to do then, instead of listing out the multiples, is I'm just going to take each one and multiply it by the other one, kind of like a cross multiply thing. So for 7, I'm going to multiply this by 4. But again, just like before, if I do it in the bottom, I've got to do it in the top. And on the other one, I'm going to multiply 4 by 7. But again, top and bottom. So then, 4 times 3 is 12 over 28 plus 1 times 7 is 7, 7 over 28. So then the denominator is 28. I add up the top, so 12 plus 7. So my final answer is 19 over 28. In this case, it won't simplify because 19 is a prime, so it can't be divided by anything other than 1. But yeah, so that would be our final answer. Ta-da! Hooray, addition! Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do multiplication, even though this video is getting kind of long. Actually, no, I'm going to do that in the next video. Fooled you. So this is what you do. Subtraction is the exact same thing, only instead of adding, you subtract. So that's it. Now we can add fractions.